In this video, I'll demonstrate arrays in Java. So in this demonstration, I'll demonstrate all of these things. So array declaration, how to declare an array, instantiate, um, instantiate and initialize, how to access specific elements of an array, updating the values, printing all the elements, using for loop, and then yung tinatawag nating enhance for loop. Also, demonstration of multi-dimensional arrays, 2D and then 3D, but we will focus more on two-dimensional array. So, instantiation and initialization of 2D array, accessing specific elements of a 2D array, printing also using for loop and then enhance for loop, and then also updating value of specific elements of a 2D array. So before anything else, let's declare the class. So public class. Let's call it array demo. And then we write the main method. So public static void main string args. Ipasok lang natin tong comments. This will serve as our guide for this demonstration. Let me save it first. So I will save it on my drive D, Java demonstration folder. So I will name it arraydemo.java. So let's start with array declaration. So in array declaration, yung kailangan lang is data type, bracket, and then the variable name. So to declare an array, so we will declare an array, let's call it mylist. Mylist1. So I have here the data type, the variable name or the array name. So we name the array name using the naming convention for variable. It should start with a lowercase letter. It should be a noun and then camel casing. And then we put square bracket to identify na this declaration is an array declaration. Kasi kapag wala itong bracket, this is just an ordinary variable declaration. Actually, we have two ways in declaring an array. So, ang tawag po natin dito ay, in Java, this is the preferred way in declaring an array. But we also have another way. This is in terms of yung placement ng square brackets. Okay? So, pwede nyo kasing ilagay yung square bracket before the variable or after the variable. We call it the C++ way. So, meron kasi mga programmers na, of course, maraming alam sa programming languages, maraming alam na programming languages. So, kapag ito lang yung way of declaring noon sa mga first versions ng Java. So, since ito yung nakasanayan in C++, nung Java na yung ginagamit nila, nagkakamali sila. Ito pa rin yung ginagamit nila. So, yung mga new versions of Java, in-accommodate na nila yung C++ way of declaring an array. Okay? So, valid po yung dalawa. So, this is how you declare. Next is instantiation. So when we say instantiation, dito kasi sa declaration, we just reserve, parang we just say here na this variable or this array is, yung data type niya is double. Okay? Wala pa yung lamang elements. For instantiation, ito naman, gagawa na talaga siya ng actual array. So let's call it ages. New, int, and then 100. So this is how you instantiate data type, square bracket, and then the variable name equals, and then the new keyword, the data type, it should match etong data type nito. And then square bracket sa loob niyan, that is the size. So ibig sabihin dito, it will now create an array with 100 elements, 100 elements. Pero yung 100 elements na yun, empty pa. Wala pa siyang laman. So, paano natin malalagyan ng values? So, for the next one, ito, array instantiation and initialization. So, to instantiate and initialize, sige, let's declare another array. Let's call it mylist equals. So, kapag mag-i-initialize, values of the array are enclosed with curly braces. And then yung elements inside are separated with comma. Okay? So for example, 5.2, 3.6, 2.3, 8.4, 6.2, 7.6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, apat pa. 6.9, 0.4, 2.8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, isa pa. 5.3. Okay? So, that's how you instantiate and initialize an array. So, in this case, dito sa line of code na to, gagawa na siya ng array with 10 elements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then, meron ng initial value. Okay? So, yan. Ito, ulitin ko yung instantiation. Gagawa lang siya ng array with elements na empty. Wala pa siyang laman. But, in array instantiation and initialization, meron na po yung initial values. Ito yung initial values. So, again, enclosed with curly braces and separated with comma. Okay, next. Accessing specific elements of an array. So we know that we access elements of the array using the array name and indexes. So yung mga indexes po nito, it starts with 0, di ba? This is my list, index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 0 to 9 yung indexes ng elements natin. So if you want to access, for example, sige, i-print natin yung first element. So system out dot println. So maglagay lang ako dito ng text. So to access the first element, ito. So 'di ba we use the array name, mylist. And since yan yung nasa unahan, this is index 0. Okay? Yeah. So that's how we access specific elements. The variable name or the array name and then specific index. Sige, next. How about the fifth one? So, fifth element. So, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ito, 6.2. So, to access 6.2, we count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So, that is my list index 4. That is the fifth element. How about for um, the last element. For the last element, of course, the 10th element, so gawin nyo na lang 10 minus 1. So, 9. Okay? So, that is the last element, 9. So, count natin 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Paano kung hindi mo alam yung number of elements? So, you can use length. So, we can do my list. By the way, if you want to access, sige, idagdag ko muna po dito. So, access the size of the array. So, if you want to print the size, sige, ilagay ko lang, ilagay ko na to sa taas. Length or size of my list. So, if you want to access the size, so halimbawa, hindi, gusto mo alamin yung size nito without counting, you can use array name dot length. Okay, simple as that. So, if we, sige, try natin tuloy i-compile and run para makita nyo yung output. So, access ko lang, i-locate ko lang yung program natin. So, I save it on my drive D, Java demonstration folder. So, let's compile array, java c array demo.java. Okay, successful. Run. Okay, yun. So, eto tama naman. We access the size of the array my list. So, 10. Tama naman, di ba? 10 elements yung array natin. Okay? So, sabi ko nga dito, paano kung paano kung ayaw mong bilangin yung last element? Ayaw mong bilangin yung, di ba, ipiprint natin dito yung last element. Paano kung sobrang dami, hindi mo na mabilangin, hindi mo na mailagay yung specific number? So, pwede naman using yung mylist.length. So, instead of 9, we will put mylist.length. Di ba, this is 10. Magma-minus lang tayo ng 1. Okay? Sige, let's try this. Yun. So, tama, di ba? The last element is 5.3. So, ibig sabihin ko lang dito, itong 9 and ito is the same. Okay, but yung pinagkaiba, ito, binilang kasi natin. Pero ito, without counting how many elements or counting the index, kung pang ilan yung last element, we can access the last element of the array using its length. Okay? Next, how about updating value? So, pag nag-update tayo ng value, we assign value to specific element. So, for example, paano natin mapalitan yung first element, yung value ng first element? So, tawagin natin yung first element. Diba? This is the first element. My list, index 0. So, just an ordinary variable, we put assignment operator and then we change the value. So, sabihin natin magina siyang 6.1. Okay? Yan. How about we change the fifth element? O sige, sixth element. So, my list, the sixth element, 5. Diba, ito yan. 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, palitan natin ng 7.0. How about the ninth element? Ninth element is 8. So, palitan natin ng 5.8. Okay? So, ganyan po mag-update ng specific elements of an array. You just call the element using the array name and then the index, assignment operator, and then yung value na ipapalit nyo. Okay? So, to check if yung changes nag-occur, we try to print all the elements. So, to print all the elements using a for loop, simple lang naman. Maglo-loop tayo nung mga indexes. Di ba yung indexes niya 0 to 9? Okay, so maglo-loop lang tayo from 0 to 9. So, let's create a for loop here. So, int I equals 0. So, we will start from 0. I is less than 10. Okay? So, di ba kapag ganyan, magpo-false na siya kapag 10. So, hanggang 9 lang yung loop natin. And then, we increment by 1 yung I plus plus. So, inside your for loop, let's print the values. So, dito, yung ilalagay na lang natin is mylist index I. Okay? Kasi ito maglo-loop to from 0 to 9. So, every for loop, mag-change to 0, 1, 2. So, mapiprint natin all the elements of the array. So, lagyan ko lang dito ng label para makita nyo. Let's say, using for loop. Sige, try natin. So, compile. And then run. Yun. Okay? Sige, check natin. This is our array, di ba? So, 6.1. Bakit 6.1? Kasi, change na natin. Ito. And then, 3.6. 2. Okay, tama naman. The sixth element, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7.0, tama. And then, 5.8. Yung ninth element. So, tama. Okay? So, this is how you print all the elements using a for loop. Okay? Pwede nyo naman i-print to gamit yung ito, pero pa isa-isa. Gagawa ka ng maraming system out that print line, my list, and ilalagay mo yung specific number. Sa part natin, di ba, hassle yun. Paano kung 100 elements? Dito kung 100 elements, papalitan mo lang to ng 100. Okay? And by the way, para to make sure na ma-print talaga yung lahat elements ng array, without counting it, dito kasi hinardcode natin yung 10, we can put here my list dot length. Okay? My list dot length. So, parehas lang yung output niyan kasi ito, di ba? I-access nito yung size ng array. So, yung size ng array natin is 10. So, compile ko lang para makita nyo. Yun. So, same output. Okay, next. Next is printing all the elements using enhanced for loop. So, using enhanced for loop, meron lang naman po yan format. Yung una is ilalagay nyo yung data type nung array natin. In this case, yung data type ng array natin is double. So, double. Then, you will put a variable. So, tawagin ko na lang siyang element. You can use any variable name. So, sa akin, element na nang ilagay ko. And then, ilalagay nyo dito is yung array name. Yung array name na ililoop natin is si mylist, di ba? So, mylist. Inside this, sige, print natin. Inside this, instead of ganito yung gagawin, mylist, index I, ilalagay mo na lang dito element. Okay? Sige, kopyahin ko lang tong label and ilagay ko din dito para makita nyo. Ito using enhance for loop. So let's see. Compile, run. Okay, so parehas lang naman yung output, 'di ba? 6.1 to 5.3, 6.1 to 5.3. Okay? But anong pinagkaiba? Comparing in terms of code, mas maikli ito yung enhance for loop, 'di ba? Compared with this. Pero yung disadvantage ng enhance for loop, maluloop nyo lang yung mga elements sequentially. Ibig sabihin, you will start from the index 0 until the first element down to the last. Dito kasi sa for loop, yung ordinary for loop, maluloop nyo siya na kung ano yung gusto nyo. Okay? So, pwede nyo siyang iloop pabaliktad. So, papalitan nyo lang to. You will start from 10 and then fix the condition and then you decrement. Pwede nyo naman i-print by 2s. Di ba? Yung even number, yung mga even number. So, papalitan nyo ng 2 and i-increment nyo din dito ng 2. So, ito yung flexible compared with this. But in this case kasi, piniprint lang naman natin yung lahat ng elements. So, kapag ganun, mas magandang gamitin si enhance for loop. Okay? Next. Next is the multidimensional arrays. So, how to declare or instantiate a two-dimensional array. So, let's instantiate using the data type float. So, kapag two-dimensional array, dalawa din yung pair of brackets. So, let's call it 2D equals new float and then size. So, let's say for example, 5 by 10. So, ibig sabihin ng 5 by 10 is this is 5 rows and 10 columns. Ayan, 5 rows and 10 columns. Ibig sabihin, ilang elements ang nandito? So, ita-times nyo lang naman yan. 5 times 10 is 50. So, itong two-dimensional array na to contains 50 elements. Next, 3D array. So, kapag sa 2D, dalawa yung pair of brackets. Sa 3D naman, tatlo. So, let's use car. 3D equals new car. So, 2, 5, 10. So, this is 2 by 5 by 10 character array. So, how about this? Ilan yung kasi kapag multidimensional arrays po, isipin nyo na yung array, ang mga elements din array. So, you can think of multidimensional arrays as arrays within arrays. Array of arrays. Okay? Yan, simple na lang. Array of arrays. So, dito, sige, explain ko tong 5 by 10. Sinasabi dito na merong 10, dito sa 2D array, meron 10 array din. Na yung 10 na yun, 5. Merong 5 na array na tig sa 10 yung laman. Okay? So, ita-times nyo lang kung ilan yung element. So, 5 times 10 is 50. Dito naman, ganun din. Dito, eto, explain ko. Yung 3D array, meron siyang dalawang array. Yung dalawang array na yon merong lamang tigli-5 array. and yung tiglilimang array na yon merong lamang tig sa 10 element, tig sa 10 values. So, para malaman natin kung ilang elements meron ito, ita-times lang natin yan. So, 2 times 5 is 10, 10 times 10 is 100. So, itong 3D array meron 100 elements. Okay, so that's how multi-dimensional array works. But uh, we will focus more on two-dimensional array. Okay, so let's instantiate and initialize a 2D array. Okay, so string. So since this is two-dimensional, two pairs of brackets, o gawa tayo ng arrays of dogs. Dog's name. Okay? So dito, yung format naman is kapag two-dimensional, 'di ba this is how, balikan natin yung instantiation natin ng single dimensional array ito. 'Di ba um we enclose it with curly braces, and then each element are separated with comma. So ganun din po dito, but eto nga sabi ko, yung array natin, instead of elements yung laman niya, array din. So halimbawa gagawa tayo ng 4 rows and 2 columns. 4 by 2. Ibig sabihin ng 4 by 2, yung array natin merong 4 na arrays din. And yung bawat array na yon merong tigda dalawang elements. So dito, this is our first array, comma, second array, third array, and then the fourth array. And then separated po yan with comma. So, dyan yun na ilalagay yung actual elements. So, sige, lagyan ko. So, example, yung mga aso, Snoopy, comma din, separated with comma, Pluto, Goofy, Scooby, Peabody, Jake, Courage, and then si Max. Okay? So, I hope you get the idea of initializing and instantiation of a two-dimensional array. So, sabi nga natin, yung array natin, merong laman na 4 na arrays or 4 rows. So, ito yung 4 na array na yon. 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Okay? And then, bawat array na yon merong tigda dalawang elements. So, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then 1, 2. So, I hope you get the idea. So, para mas maintindihan nyo pa ito, pakitaan ko kayo ng another example. So, dito magde-declare ako ng 4 na array. Tawagin kong dog1. Sige, kunin ko muna tong ginawa nating array. So, declare ako ng 4 na array. Okay. So to explain this further, kung ano nangyari dito. So eto, tingnan nyo. I declare here for single dimensional array. Single lang siya kasi ito, one pair of bracket. So meron yung dogs 1 merong dalawang elements, si dogs 2 meron din dalawang element. So yung two-dimensional array, so let's call it string dogs. So dito ko ilalagay itong apat na single dimensional. So dogs 1, ay sorry, dito pala. Dogs 1, dogs 2, dogs 3, and dogs 4. Okay? So eto, tingnan nyo. Eto. So eto is the same as this. Yung dogs, 'di ba? Yan yung specific elements niya. Pero nga etong mga elements na to, ang laman din array. 'Di ba yung dogs 1, eto yan. Dogs 2, is ganyan. So I hope you get the idea. Eto. So eto, this is the same as eto. So ilagay ko lang as comment. So this is same as the instantiation and initialization above. Okay. So I hope you get the idea of a two-dimensional array. Okay, next. Next is displaying specific elements. So kung sa kung sa single dimensional array, we use one, 'di ba? This is how we access using one index. Kapag 2D array na po, dalawang indexes din yung kailangan. Okay? So ganito 'yan mag-work. 'Di ba? Ito yung two-dimensional array natin. So parehas din po sa single dimensional, it starts with 0. So this is row 0, row 1, 2, and then 3. This is column 0, column 1. Okay, so you get the idea. So to access Jake, una muna yung row. This is, nasa ano ta? 0, 1, 2. Nasa row 2, column 0, 1, column 1. Okay? So that's how we access specific elements using row number and column number. Sige, let's print. So, para makita nyo. So, halimbawa, dogs 1, 1. So, ito, nilalagay ko lang po yan para ma-separate yung display sa taas. So, para makita nyo. So, yung dogs, row 1, column 1, alin yan? So, this is, di ba, 0, 1, 0, 1. So, this is row 1. Column 1, 0, 1. So, Scooby po yan. Okay, si Scooby yan. Row 1, column 1. Sige, try nga po natin. Okay, tama, di ba? Si Scooby. Next. Paano naman si Peabody? Okay, si Peabody. How to access Peabody? So, si Peabody nasa 2. Row 2, di ba? So, row 2 nasa column 0. Okay? So, row 2 column 0. Sige, check nga natin kung tama. Okay, tama. Si Peabody. Next is, how about Max? Si Max ay nasa 0, 1, 2, 3. Third row. Column. Oh, tama. Hindi third row. Row 3. Kasi ang third row ito. 'Di ba? We always start with 0. How about the column number? 0, 1. So this is 1. Okay? So let's print. Okay, so tama. Nakuha natin si Max. So I hope you get the idea in accessing two dimensional array elements. So we use two pairs of braces. Hindi curly braces kundi brackets. So let's try to print all the elements. Okay, so before that, unahin muna natin si pag-update ng values. So to update the values, same thing lang with this. Ito. We access the element just like a variable using the indexes, and then we assign values using the assignment operator. Okay? So halimbawa, papalitan natin yung una, ay hindi yung una kundi si, alin kaya? Si Pluto. So si Pluto is nasa, ay hindi, si Scooby na lang. Scooby is nasa row 1, column 1. So instead of Scooby, papalitan natin si Scrappy. How about si, alin pa kaya? Si Max, palitan natin si Max. Si Max is nasa column 3, row 3, column 1. So, palitan natin ng Bolt. Bolt, the super dog. Yan. Okay, so in this case, napalitan na natin yung values nila. So to check if napalitan na natin, of course, kailangan natin i-print all the elements of the array. So let's try to use yung for loop lang. Display 2D array using nested for loop. So dito, since two-dimensional array siya, dalawang indexes yung ina-access natin. So ang kailangan din po is dalawang uh, for loop na naka-nest. Okay? So yung unang for loop natin, kukunin natin yung per row. I-access natin yung per row. So ibig sabihin, we will loop from 0, 1, 2, and then 3. And then each loop, dun sa apat na loop na yon, maglo-loop tayo ng tig-dalawa. Okay? Tig-dalawa. So to do that, we need two for loop. Sige, let's call it row. So row 0, we will start with 0. Sige, lagyan muna po natin ng label. Using nested for loop. So we start with 0. Int, hindi, row is less than, we use na length. Dogs.length. And then row plus plus. Okay, so sige, before that, let me check kung tama. So dapat 4 times to maglo-loop. So i-print natin si row. For the purpose lang na makita nyo. Oh, tama, di ba? So nag-loop siya from 0, 1, 2, and then 3. So tama, di ba? Kasi apat yung rows natin, 0, 1, 2, and then 3. So, nakuha na natin yung row. So, kailangan na natin kunin yung indexes nung column. So, to do that, another for loop. So, each row, we will loop 2 times. So, tawagin natin call column. Let's start with 0. And then call is less than 2. Bakit 2? Kasi we have 2 columns. And then, it start with 0 and then 1. Kapag 2, magpo-false na to, di ba? So, titigil na siya. And then, call plus plus. Okay, check nga natin kung tama yung ginawa natin. So, to check, let's output row and then column. Para makita natin yung pair nila. Ayun, tama, di ba? 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, and 0. At tingnan nyo yung pag for loop niya. So, this is row 1, 2, row 0, row 1, 2, and then 3. And each row, 0, 1. Diba? In-access na yung per column, 0, 1. Row 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. Okay? So, inside of, eto, yung print natin dito, mga indexes lang yan. So, para ma-access natin yung element mismo, we use the array name. So, ilalagay natin dito row and then column. Sige, print lang yung gagamitin ko para makita nyo rin po yung columns and row. So, space, separate with space. Okay, and then we print system out that print line. So, para each row separated with new line. Ayun, di ba? So, tama. Lagyan ko lang dito ng colon. So, tama, di ba? Ito. Snoopy, Pluto, Goofy. O bakit Scrappy na yun? Kasi pinalitan natin dito. Di ba? Pinalitan natin. So, yan. So, ito na yung tawag niyan. Elements of the nested elements of the 2D dimensional array printed using nested for loop. So, para you can use also printf para magkaroon siya ng format. So, alam kong familiar na din kayo ng printf. So, ginamitan ko ng printf para makita nyo yung yan. So, meron na siyang format. Diba? Hindi na sabog. Pantay-pantay na yung per row. Okay? So, yan. And instead of putting here 2, you can just put dog sub row dot length. Okay? Ibig sabihin nito, ito yan. So, di ba each row is an array. And each array, meron din siyang length. So, you can do this. Okay? Dog sub row. Kahit anong row, di ba? 0. Bawa dog sub 0 dot length. So, this is dog sub 0. Dog sub 1. Dog sub 2. And dog sub 3. Sige, tingnan natin if the output is the same. So, tama naman, di ba? Lastly, using enhanced for loop. Okay, kopyahin ko lang tong label. So, using enhanced for loop. So sa enhanced for loop, meron lang naman po yan format. So ano din, nested for loop din. So string. So yung string is depende kung anong data type nung array natin. 'Di ba yung array natin is dogs? So string yung data type. String din po yung ilalagay nyo dyan. Um, a pair of bracket, and then you can, let's say for example row array. Ito variable lang to that will hold the per row or per row of the two-dimensional array. And then ilagay nyo dito yung array name, which is yung dogs. And parehas na din po yung format sa loob nito. So ganun din, string and element na lang. And it's instead of putting here dogs, ang ilalagay ko po dyan yung row array. Dapat magmamatch itong dalawa. So ganyan po yung format. So yung idea po dito is yung dogs is two-dimensional array. Ang gagawin tong unang loop is to get each row. 'Di ba? Each row is an array din. So to explode that array, we need another loop to get specific elements. So this is an array, single dimensional array. Kukunin niya isa-isa using element. So pwede na natin i-print. Kopyahin ko lang itong pag-print natin kasi papalitan ko na lang. Gagawin ko na lang tong element. Okay? And then I will put here print line para ma-separate yung per row. Sige, try natin. Okay. So far, tama naman. Okay, we printed all the elements of the two-dimensional array using enhanced for loop. Okay, ganun din po, comparing itong dalawa, yung enhanced for loop, magagamit nyo lang siya if you want to traverse or display or access all the elements of the two-dimensional array sequentially, starting from the first element down to the last. Okay? Yung pag-access nito is from left to right, up to bottom. Okay? But if you want to print in a different manner, ang suggested na gagamitin is yung nested for loops. Okay? So, that's all for this demonstration, for this video. Thank you for watching.